And here we are. If you're listening or watching on Spotify or a normal podcast app and not YouTube or Twitch, this is the part of the podcast that you never get. But you're getting it while CJ's on vacation because it's too much work for me to cut it out. So this is as people filter in the live version of it. So you're getting this for only 2 weeks, as CJ takes the longest vacation for a young person in history. So, no, man. CJ. Yeah, I know. 2-week vacation. Yeah. Did you see his Twitter pictures from wherever he is? I think he's at the Grand Canyon or something.
He's out there, man.
Yeah, him and his bros. Brocation. Hiking.
Feels like a healthy
tank tops
relationship of bros.
Yes, it does.
It's my read.
It does. Yeah, it does. We were getting CJ friend group updates for a little while, and then it went away. Maybe it's better that we don't know. It's better that we don't know. So CJ will be back. I think CJ will be back for the next pod. I'm not sure. I think so. So this is what you're missing if you listen to the pod recorded. This is the good stuff. Yeah, this is the good stuff. Sometimes funny stuff happens here. You never know. We've had some funny stuff happen. I think it's where the CJ height discussion was. Whether he's actually, does he claim he's 6 feet, right? Isn't that the height that he claims?
I think that's what he said, yeah.
Maybe somebody can go through his Twitter pictures and see, before we measure him, I would love to get some theories based on what it looks like in the pictures. Because I would bet on less than 6 feet without shoes. I would bet on less than.
Get a real tape measure up in here?
Get his girlfriend's dad to measure him, as we requested.
That's right. The only person that I trust.
His girlfriend's dad. Let's go. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook by using promo code RTRS. By the way, I remember when they said I was 6 feet once when I went in for my driver's license. The guy's like, yeah, you're 6 feet. I'm not 6 feet. It's a lie. And brought to you by Mortgage CS. Become a Mortgage CS Ricky VIP by going to mortgagecs.com/Ricky. Briggs Auction, the official auction of the process. briggsauction.com/Ricky. LL Pavorsky Jewelers, where Rights to Ricky Sanchez listeners go and get engaged. And our friends at Kinetic Skateboarding. Get 9.1% off your first order with promo code Dave Silver. On today's show, I thought there was no possible way I'd say this, but the James Harden contract looks to be the best possible scenario for the 76ers. We will talk about that, as well as the propaganda tweets from Shams breaking the story, all-timer, as those guys just dive deeper and deeper into themselves, as well as Sixers Adams' prediction coming true of it being a 1+1. And it is Summer League time. Right about the 30-minute mark of the pod, we'll start talking about Summer League, and then when I'm finished at about minute 40, we'll go on for 35 more minutes about the players that I don't remember and Mike holds very dear to his heart. I mentioned Kinetic Skateboarding, so I love the T-shirts, the hoodies, that sort of stuff. The sneakers are where it's at. Right now, the floral slip-ons from Vans are back in stock. Did you ever have the checkered Vans, the black and white checkered Vans? I never had a pair of those. I always wanted a pair.
No, I have not.
I think I'll get a pair of those. So they have the floral ones, and tonight at midnight, so that's Saturday night at midnight, only 500 pairs in existence. The New Balance Vegan Suede 420 numerics. They're this sweet purple color, and there's only 500 pairs in existence, and Kinetic will have them. Use promo code Dave Silver for 9.1% off your first order. And before we get going, we want to send our love to a friend of Amos and a Ricky guy, Zach Janikian. Zach lost his husband, Jesse Blatt, suddenly this week. Really, really sad, young guy. So we want to send love to Zach and then Jesse's close friends and family. Jesse was loved a lot. Sad to lose him, anyone so young, but sad to lose somebody so close to our community so young. So sending love to Zach, Jesse's family, and the rest. Without any further ado, Amos, where is it? Not there. Amos and the Chef.
Larry, sweetie, the man is here.
Say the name. I say the name. I say the name.
We were right, y'all. We were right.
We were right.
Even when it went wrong, we were right.
We were right.
We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We
Welcome to the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Gaskin, along with a guy who has never turned down a player option in his life. That is one, Mike Levin.
I would love a player option.
Yeah.
Just
Kidding?
plus ones forever.
Everybody wants the option, you know?
Very powerful.
Yeah, having your own option. Sixers Adam, this entire time, as we've all been predicting the James Harden, or trying to project rather the James Harden contract. Of course, I was fearful still of the 5-year full max. Most of the, I would say, the more educated people from Mark Stein, I think, all the way down to Derek Bodner, were thinking about something more along the lines of
all the way down to Derek Bodner.
You like that? That was for Derek. It was predicting somewhere in like the 3-year, $100+ million range. The only person I saw that was saying 1+1 the entire time was one Sixers Adam. So I'm stunned by it. I think that this was the first true test for Daryl. Was don't follow your heart here. Like let's do something smart. I think it does work out for Harden in that it protects him for next year if he does, if he does completely fall apart and his body falls apart and, he has no options, it gives him a $35 million option. But Morey, to me, passed this test with flying colors, and I'm actually stunned at this deal. Stunned. I don't know how Adam came up with it.
Well, yes. First of all, Adam, most important part of this deal is Sixers Adam being right.
He was right.
Love him. Very happy for him.
Yep. Being right's fine.
He has been on this for a while. He was floating it to me via text before he unveiled it online. So he really believed in it, and I'm happy for him. Yeah, I mean, the simplest thing, if Harden and the Sixers, more specifically, were not on the same page, didn't think that their value was correct or aligned, would have been him just picking up his option and making $47 million. The idea that someone wouldn't have given him, even if he was bad this year, even if he was a little worse than the guy he was at the end of last season, someone would have given him a lot of money still. Maybe not
after this year, if he had another bad year.
Yeah, of course. Someone would have given him at least $15 million a year. Like,
15. Okay, sure.
Yeah, fine. I think it would have been. I mean, how bad are we talking? But like, say he was
knows?
like a little step down from this. I think to your point, like, yes, he gets a little protection, but the odds are he'll opt out and sign a more friendlier
4-year, $180 million.
I don't think it'll be that much. I think that this really demonstrates like that Daryl and James really have a very strong relationship, and there's a lot of trust there. And Daryl following through and signing PJ Tucker and Daniel House to those contracts with some room to spare, which we can talk about, was part of that good faith that Harden was showing to Daryl and that Daryl was showing to Harden. It was like, get my guys, get these guys that I like playing with, that I'm friends with, that I'm going to go party with Joel in the white party of the Hamptons with, and I'll sign for less. And that's, I mean, it's a really nice thing. Like, it's not I always do this. Like, what's the difference to me? What's the difference between like 32 million and 47 million? Like, absolutely nothing. Like, my life, if someone offered me those amounts of money, I wouldn't even be able to really tell the difference if you had a stack of 32 million in a room versus a stack of 47 million in a different room. I would see it and be like, that's a lot of money. Probably doesn't really matter which room I get placed in, but that doesn't really happen very often. People take the money, which I get. Their agents are telling them to take the money they want. It's a status thing, and they deserve to be paid that much if they were offered it. But it's nice to not happen. Because of an NBA salary cap. I hope Harden is getting all of the shady back deals from fanatics that he can get out of this. I don't particularly give a fuck. But
His
the fact
Cash App deal.
But the fact that there's trust there, and the fact that there was follow through on both ends, and I think we've been saying like, why does Daryl keep getting his Houston guys? I think it's because of this. I think this was part of the negotiation. Like, I'll take less if you get these guys, and he did, and then Daryl did. And now the Sixers are way better set up this season because of it. And so that just kicks ass. Hasn't happened in Philadelphia before. Even Cliff Lee, this is a bigger deal because of the salary cap.
So the best case scenarios I honestly like the worst case scenario for this contract really is that he's terrible this year and he opts in for $35 million next year and he's not worth it. Like that's not a bad bet. And
he's aligned with the Tobias expiring as well.
Right.
So then both, if say this year goes horrendously bad, Tobias expiring, Harden expiring, that's plenty of stuff to move, and we can figure it out from there.
Right. So, like there's that middle bad case scenario where he looks fine. They lose in the second round again, and he gets that terrible contract 1 year later. But I'm not gonna assign that until it happens. Like I could dream up a million bad case scenarios. This is the best contract you could expect in this situation. It does speak to the trust between the two of them, and it also speaks to like some, what's the word I'm looking for? Morey, like there was no panic in this, right? Too, because I do think that there was some sort of, I don't think that this trade happened with Harden and Morey thinking that this was going to be the contract. I think they thought it was definitely going to be more substantial, but his play didn't warrant it. The situation didn't warrant it. And they wound up with this. So that is good. So that leaves them, if he takes a $15 million cut, as Shams so eloquently put it, and I love everyone around Harden has understood the focus on his workout regimen this offseason and a championship goal for 22-23. His close relationships with those around the organization, including Michael Rubin and Daryl Morey, played a major role in the trust between the two sides. Naming Rubin, who can no longer legally do this anymore, is amazing. Like this is an amazing tweet.
Oh yeah. I mean, so, and like feed me the propaganda. Like feed it to me in a little bowl, and I'm just gonna like num eat them up. Like I will like give it to me. I don't care. I'm happy with it. Will you take a $15 million pay cut so we can sign two guys who can shoot and defend? I'll suck that propaganda straight down. One shot. Bring it to me.
This leaves them, if he signs for 32.4 this year, with the player option, you can only increase 8% year to year. So player option would be 35, but that would leave them about $4 million under the quote unquote apron. The apron's just a hard cap. They can't go above it because they use the biannual exception and the mid-level exception. So they can't go over that number.
Just imagine Derek Bodner in an apron saying there's no more dinner left. You can't have any. We're out.
So it gives them a little wiggle room in case there's a trade they want to make, which allows them to take a little bit more back than they send out. The Eric Gordon thing is still out there, though still becomes difficult without a Tobias Harris trade because of what he makes. They have to send out almost $16 million. And even if you do the Thibault and Yang and Korkmaz and Springer, that still doesn't get there, and then you start having a roster issue. So it does make you wonder. And I don't think this is
because just to explain, because at the apron they can't sign any more players.
Right.
That would be like they'd be maxed out at like 12 people and not
12 players
sign anymore.
Right. Unless you got an injury exception or any of those things. So and that's not optimal, especially as long as the season is. And when you have a guy like Embiid and a guy like Harden, who you expect, or a 37-year-old PJ Tucker, you need players to get through the season. So it does.
I don't think Eric Gordon is worth that risk is right now.
Right. I agree with you. It does, though, make you, and, if there's a $4 million player out there that you end up wanting to get, you can still do that. I do think what it probably does is make you think that there still is a possibility of Tobias getting traded. It is sort of strange. You imagine nothing big is going to happen until Durant and Kyrie Irving get traded. I think that's part of it, because there might have to be a third team in that. And I think everybody's sort of waiting for that. But I still would not count on Tobias Harris being on the Sixers next year. And I still wouldn't count out Eric Gordon being on the Sixers next year. I think is my position on it.
No, I mean, I think there's rumors about it for a reason. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. I'm just still not in a rush to trade him. Like, unless he really doesn't want to be here and he's upset about not being included in the white party and he had such a nice little white sort of silk button down that he had laid out that he was ready to go and
White
the
book
invite
to
never
bring
came.
along. Yeah.
That would be sad. And he doesn't want to be there. I get it. Then that's one thing. But I just think like the Sixers now have the benefit of like they have two extremely good primary ball handlers, and they have Joel Embiid, who takes the pressure off everybody in the world, and a bunch of guys who now can defend and shoot in Tucker, Melton, and House. And we'll see about the other guys. And it's just like, it's nice that Tobias can kind of do some of everything. It's just, he's a nice little safety valve. And I know that he isn't always like that, but in the playoffs last year, he was. And
Until
I think
the end when he wasn't.
Well, nobody was in the end.
I would rather just start Tucker and get some average wing, like an actual wing, not Tobias Harris, an actual wing player.
I think that there's more. The thing that in Houston, when it was Harden in Houston, and the Houston version of D'Antoni ball, not the Phoenix D'Antoni ball.
Sure. Yep.
It was so much like spread them out. Harden goes 1-on-1. At one point, it was Clint Capella setting a screen, and then they traded him, and it was like, let's just go Harden 1-on-1 and four guys who would stand there and shoot. And it just was so stationary. Everything was so like, it was like three decisions, like who's going to come over. It was not only was it like kind of boring basketball in my mind, it just wasn't in a playoff setting. It made them very limited. By
the way, Harden can't do it anymore. He's not good enough to do it anymore.
Of course. Yeah. Yes. And the Sixers won't play like that because they have Max like that, and for sure. But
they have Embiid. He can't do it that way. Like, it's just it's
absolutely. It's not going to be the same thing. I'm just saying that like the players that they assembled in Houston were guys that could just, for the most part, stand there and catch and shoot. And I think that once things got more limited in the playoffs, they started taking away stuff. Guys were playing, they were playing better teams, and they were also playing like guys that were smarter and better defenders, and playing harder. It just became harder to get those shots, and you wanted a couple like, all right, just get us a bucket type possessions. You wanted a couple like, all right, they're really coming over to protect the rim, just pull up for an open 12-footer or something like that. In the playoffs, you need some of that stuff, and Tobias can provide those kinds of things in a way that a team full of PJ Tuckers necessarily wouldn't. And I'm allowing, even though Embiid, it's different with Embiid, even though it's different with Maxey, they're not the same team. I just like, we now have guys in House and House and Tucker that can stand there and catch and shoot and do a little bit more than Danny Green could offensively, for sure. Although they're worse shooters. But it's nice the comfort of Tobias being like a big wing who now will, if he's bought in, and obviously we don't know that, can capably defend like the second best offensive player on the other team and get to the basket, have a little like turnaround. I think it's nice. I think it's helpful, and I think getting like just Harrison Barnes can do some of that stuff also, but not quite as good as Tobias. Getting another guy that just like stands there, I think might make them more limited than we want them to be.
I can't do another Tobias here.
I'm Tobias. I've become Tobias Belt apparently.
I know.
This is my role. I'm either very pro or anti Tobias. I haven't found the middle ground yet.
The hero we need is what you're doing right now. You're taking the spot. Somebody needs to take it. Heard from a friend, former coworker, Ricky listener, that he is dealing with Mortgage CS right now. He heard about Mortgage CS on a pod, is buying a new home, and he was like, you know what? I didn't have a great experience with my mortgage last time. Let's go to Mortgage CS. He's absolutely thrilled. He specifically said, everything you said about Mortgage CS is what they are. Mortgage CS is a mortgage broker, not a lender, so they're not the ones getting you the money. And what's good is, like, there are a lot of mortgage brokers that have these like shady sort of like deals with lenders. So they steer you to the lender that they get like a bigger bonus from. But that's not what Mortgage CS does. Completely independent. Their goal is to just have you know more and understand what's happening with the mortgage process. Oh, and get you the best rate. You can get to Mortgage CS whenever you want. Whenever you want. In fact, I'm going to give you Ben, the CEO's cell phone number. That's what my friend did. Reached out directly to Ben. You can text him or call him anytime. 267-391-7425. That is 267-391-7425. They're going to help you learn. They're going to help you get the best rate. They're going to be available for you at all times. They are small, it's like 9 people, nimble, not wasting a bunch of money on, advertising, a little bit of money on advertising, but not wasting a bunch of it on advertising so they can pass that on to you. And actually honest, good people who at the end of it, they want to be the one to get you the mortgage. But if you go somewhere else, but no more when you leave, they'll be happy. I'm telling you, I trust them. You should go to Mortgage CS. Go to mortgagecs.com/Ricky. That's where you go. You see the special website they set up for us with the Ship of Theseus drawing. It's sweet. You can become a Mortgage CS Ricky VIP right there. You can schedule a consultation or just call or text Ben 267-391-7425. Please tell them that you're a Ricky listener. And if I don't convince you, tons of 5-star reviews on Google. Again, mortgagecs.com/Ricky, or text or call Ben 267-391-7425. This ad is not a commitment to lend or extend credit. Mortgage CS is an equal housing opportunity mortgage broker. All loans are subject to credit approval. Certain restrictions apply. Company NMLS 1464766. Visit mortgagecs.com/Ricky for more for more information. There was a little Reggie Bullock internet Instagram, Twitter thing going on. I didn't quite understand it. His friends were saying he's going to be a Sixer. And then he tweeted that he can't give his friends his phone or say anything to him. I don't know. I don't have any idea how to discern it. There was some Philadelphia Reggie Bullock social media action, I guess.
That's right.
Yeah.
I love people's friends just like wanting to be the guys to do it.
To break this story.
I think it's great. They're breaking the story. They're like whispering. They're like, let me be cryptic. I'll just say a little. I just love it. I've never been good friends with a professional athlete. Mm-hmm. So I don't know the urge that comes with being the one to like let people know and finding out inside information that I can't say, but like he's going to be there. Like I just love that urge. I hope it's real. That would be sick.
He'd be helpful.
He's a really nice player. He's basically, kind of basically Daniel House, except better at everything. A little more consistent. So if it's a Matisse and Korkmaz for Reggie Bullock, that would just be like a perfectly fine trade to add another helpful two-way wing to the mix. And I do think like very clearly the Sixers aren't done this offseason. I think if the rumors of the Harden deal are true and it's a $4 million little room before the apron, then I think that there's a high possibility that they carry that into the season and let the season play out a little bit before they make a move at the deadline to
see if they need something rather than want something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See how it looks, see if anybody gets hurt, that kind of deal. Maintain some level of flexibility. But there's definitely going to be a move even on a small level this offseason still. With that probably combines Niang, Thibault, Korkmaz, something like that. But we can talk about Summer League. But I think just simply waiving one of Isaiah Joe or Charles Bassey or Niang or any of those guys that are Shake, obviously, like any of those guys on the rotation, like they're even though some of those guys are not perfect for here or haven't proven yet, like they're still upside. I wouldn't want to simply cut them for nothing. I think that would be a misuse of potential and bodies.
Did you see Markieff Morris publicly saying he wants to? He's been trying to come back to the Sixers.
Markieff wants to come back.
Love the concept of Markieff Morris. Love the concept. I can't even remember specifically watching if he's good or not in at least 3 years. So I truly don't know. It would be great to true Philly guy, Markieff Morris. True Philly guy.
Sure, true Philly guy. If there's a 3-for-1 type trade and you could convince yourself Markieff has some flexibility as a backup 5 that can shoot a little bit and play a little bit of 4 sometimes, but I don't necessarily know that I buy it. I think he's probably pretty washed at this point. Marcus was always the more versatile player, but he also takes worse shots. But yeah, I don't know. Markieff Morris a couple years ago, sure, but now that they already have PJ Tucker as far as the physicality goes, and
you can never have too many dogs, too many boats rather.
You can never have too many dogs. Markieff's boat might need to be put out to sea a little bit.
Maybe he has a sailboat at this point in his career.
I think he might be, but I also just there was conversation in I think it was in a Kyle Neubeck article about will there be another veteran backup 5 on this roster? And with Charles Bassey and Paul Reed obviously battling it out for the bulk of the backup 5 minutes, and the odds that Doc will at least sometimes go to PJ Tucker as a small ball 5 with Tobias in there and everything. I think Doc and maybe some of the more stodgy folks in the organization will want another veteran backup 5, or they just don't trust B-Ball Paul or Bassey, or they're just concerned, maybe rightfully so, about Embiid's health and always wanted to have some Andre Drummond type shaped man in there that is over 25. But it's just having another 5 that is an only one position player is a real waste of a roster spot. And if you think Markieff can play some 4, which I don't necessarily think I do, at least that gives you some versatility. But I definitely wouldn't want another just straight up backup 5. Maybe on a 2-way, but that doesn't give you the veteran type of guy that people will be wanting it from that spot.
Before we get to Summer League, I would be remiss, and I hate being remiss, I'd be remiss if I did not thank Brett Brown for the amount of time he gave us on the pod last week. It was the number of people who said the pod was heartwarming and was a long list. To be clear, I asked Brett Brown to come on the pod for 10 minutes to say goodbye to Philadelphia fans, and he gave us an hour. And if I didn't start talking about farts and stuff, he probably would have stayed another hour. It was just I thought, and he was really open. I thought him talking about not being able to get not being able to get Jimmy and Ben and Joel on the same page, and really taking ownership of it and taking responsibility. Hint. It was I thought was real. He's always great, and every time we've talked to him, he's been great. But I thought he was especially great. I'm really thankful he decided to do that with us. I don't know why. Maybe it's because he knew we wouldn't be tough on him at all. But I thought he was just incredibly genuine and forthcoming, and I really appreciate he did it. I hope he ends up as the next head coach for the Spurs. I think it's cool.
Yeah, he's such a sweet guy.
Yeah,
and he seemed like he was happy to be getting back in there, and we didn't ask him any Ben Simmons questions because
what's he gonna say?
We're cupcakes. We're serving up cupcake interviews, cupcake questions. Didn't want to get him in a gotcha situation.
By the way, I'm not a journalist. What are we doing? The only player we brought up in the entire conversation was Nerlens. He was the one that brought up Joel. He brought up TJ. He brought up Covington, and he did at one point say, when we said, he was talking about how proud he was of Joel, he said something to the effect of, it's sad how other situations progressed. And I don't know, he was being so open and good about it. The last thing I think either of us want to do is throw some obstacle in it where he's not going to say anything of substance anyway, and maybe it makes him more guarded in the other thing. So I just thought he was great. He looks so tan. Your fiance Alyssa said he is still hot.
Everybody's saying he's still hot.
Yeah,
still get it. Zaynab out there.
He's a Jeep guy.
I should have warned her that we were having him on, but no, he's the best. So hopefully he has fun in San Antonio. Hopefully it's a good run. It's been many years of the who's going to replace Pop. So Brett coming back. Not many guys have come back. So
Here's my question to you. And now I've for a long time said that even at their best, I never enjoyed the Spurs. Never, like, not a Spurs guy, anti-Spurs guy. With Brett being there and number one YouTube big board rookie Jeremy Sohan being there and them being sort of processy, can I become a Spurs guy? Can I make that switch? I was looking at Spurs hats. I was like, maybe I'll become a Spurs guy. I'm thinking about becoming a Spurs guy. So I think I need your permission, as you've always been not an enthusiast, but I think you've respected what the Spurs have done, and I have not. But at this point, I think I want to become a Spurs guy.
why not? Great, like when the alternate jerseys. The court is nice. They're doing the process. They got Brett. It's gonna be fun over there.
Yeah. Before we get to Summer League, Briggs auction just finished an auction yesterday, full of really cool shit. I don't know if you saw the Sixers lunchbox they had in there. Some really cool autographs, really cool collectibles. Briggs auction is a 4-generation family-owned and operated auction house in Garnet Valley. What they do is they take people when they downsize or they have estate auctions and they sell it. And it is everything from home furnishings, like, furniture, stuff like that, to collectibles, like I just mentioned. Sometimes they have real rare, baseball cards. They have cars in there, like almost 1,000 lots every auction with prices starting at $1. And then there's always something that I get fixated on. They just had an auction. This auction's about every 2 weeks. They just had one close on Friday, but there's another one coming on the 22nd, which means those lots start open for bid next week. And I would just, as soon as you download the app, you can download the Briggs Auction app on Apple, on the App Store or Google Play. You're just scrolling to find something cool for the house. And if you are somebody who wants to downsize, you want an estate auction, you should reach out to Briggs. info@briggsauction.com, because they can do it for you. If you buy something from Briggs, they have open pickup on Saturdays. They can do it by appointment during the week, or they can arrange a shipper for you. They do that too. Just the coolest shit. And I love that they're Delco, and I love that they're part of the community. BriggsAuction.com, Briggs Auction. All right, Summer League. The Sixers played 3 in Utah. We'll play Saturday and Sunday in Miami. I think
Vegas.
In Vegas. I'm sorry. They play Miami, but they're playing in Vegas. I think the top story for me out of Utah Summer League was that B-Ball Paul looked exactly the way you would want him to look. Like, he looked like there's a certain point in time where you should go to Summer League and you should look like you don't really belong in Summer League. And he looked like he was playing at a different level, both strength-wise and skill-wise. And I thought it was a nice run for B-Ball Paul, who I don't think is going to play in Vegas. But I thought it was something that it was exactly what I wanted to see from B-Ball Paul.
No, and he shouldn't play in Vegas.
Yep.
Yeah, I think he's just a guy that really likes to play basketball and has no qualms about like wanting to prove himself, because he was not in the regular rotation last year, and he got there in the playoffs because Doc finally relented to ceaseless bullying. But like, this needs to be the B-Ball Paul is backup 5 consistently season. A little bit weird that they're playing him at the 4 in Vegas a lot. I just don't think that is going to work out. It'll work out a little bit better with Joel, because at least Joel can shoot rather than, Charles Bassey or Michael Foster Jr. or whatever. So it gives you a little bit more room in there, but I get wanting to try it out and like expand versatility and stuff. But yeah, I mean, B-Ball Paul is just a singular type of player. Like, the effort level in Vegas in Utah was fully there for him, even though he didn't have anything to improve. It wasn't like you're watching B-Ball Paul and he's just far more skilled than everyone else. That's usually what you mean when you say like too good for Summer League type thing. It's usually a guard that can just get anywhere and is hitting shots like it's in an open, like an empty gym. But B-Ball just he's long. He has a knack for the ball. He just plays his ass off. He does some weird shit. He did have that incredibly wild behind the back between the legs dribble through 2 guys. Hard to imagine that was on purpose, But maybe it was.
I watched it. Wait, it's funny you bring that up. I watched it. I saw it, and then I saw them highlighting it online, and I kept watching it thinking, wait a minute, he didn't do that on purpose, did he? The reaction was if he had done it on purpose. I don't know. I feel like we need to Zapruder it a little bit.
Yeah. Either way, he's capable of that. Whether it's
Yeah.
on purpose or by accident, he's capable of doing any number of like unhuman type of dribble. But yeah, I mean, he just makes stuff happen. It would have been nice to see him up against Chet Holmgren, but you know, he's just a really helpful player and like the perfect backup five. The shot looks a little bit better, a little bit smoother. He had a couple, fadeaways, which he won't be taking in the NBA, but as far as like a catch and shoot, pick and pop type thing, I would love to see him just like be more of a roll man and finish like above the rim. To be honest, and this is where I put my honest hat on.
Oh boy.
I didn't see the vertical that
No.
he has supposedly improved.
6 inches, he says he's put on the vertical. I haven't seen that.
I haven't seen it. I'd love to see at least like a video of him jumping before and a video of him jumping now straight up. But it's very difficult to like, even if you're doing something in practice or whatever, even if you're like working like a skill development or like a athletic development or whatever, it's hard to show that, let that translate so itly into the court. You know what I mean? Like he's not going to all of a sudden start like jumping over people like he's Sean Kemp. But it'd be nice, a little bit of juice there. And he just like gets to loose balls. He just, something about his hands or his fingertips or something. He just like anytime there's a loose ball, I'm like, Paul's gonna get that. He is. And he does. So yeah, he's too good for summer league, but not in a way that we're used to. And he should be the backup center. And if Doc doesn't do it, I'm going to kill him.
I imagine there will be some polarization in how we talk about the next guy. I just like Jaden Springer had some nice moments, but he doesn't look like an NBA player. It gives me, I don't mean it's going to end up this way, but it's giving me Zaire Smith vibes in that like I'm watching it and I'm like, in my gut, I don't know how this guy is going to exist from an offensive standpoint in the NBA currently. And I know he's young. I'm not like rushing. I'm not panicked about it or anything. But even defensively, he had a couple of nice moments. But he didn't always look like he knew where he was supposed to be. But offensively, he still seems pretty far off to me.
Yeah, I mean, let's start with the bad stuff. Absolutely like an inconsistent offensive player right now. Whether or not he's on ball, off ball, he's short on everything all the time, short on jumpers. He really like takes time to get balanced. It takes him a long, like he needs to be fully like both feet on the ground, like rising up cleanly, which makes his release really slow. And he's just like very obviously not confident from three, which that is disappointing to me because the jumper looked pretty good at Tennessee. And you would think like with a year of just like working on it, speeding it up, he obviously is very strong, but like strength and like distance in your jump shot don't often like translate to being, one, that one doesn't get to the other.
Yeah.
I think he probably needs to like remake his whole shot. He's just like, it's just so slow and he gets like so low on everything. Like he's like balanced, like really stepping down so hard. It should just be quicker. And the defense, yeah, I'm so not concerned about the defense at all. Like he's young and he'll make like some careless mistakes and some awareness issues and stuff, but he's an NBA level defender right now. Like he can play defense in the NBA right now. Like the help side stonewalling of Xavier Tillman, where he also ripped the ball away from him, was a crazy impressive play for a guy that's 4 years younger and like a way heavier and strong and smart. And Xavier Tillman, one of my guys. And then at the end of the OKC game, ISO on Trey Mann, who had a nice season last year, and with the game on the line, just basically forced a really tough shot. The D just isn't a concern to me, but the offense for sure. Of like, he's the issue of like, okay, what position does he play? If he's a point guard, which he was at Tennessee, then you see flashes of it. You see flashes of good passing. You see flashes of like good ball handling. You see like flashes, but it's like not nearly consistently enough. He was drawing the defense in a lot on drives, which is good, but he wasn't like very easily diagnosing like who's open and kicking it out quickly enough and feeling like he can like effortlessly get them the ball. So that looks to me, and I think just like his handle is, he'll have some nice moments in the handle and he can like work in tight spaces, but his burst all the time isn't quite great as much as it is on defense. Like his athleticism on defense is way more evident than his athleticism on offense. But like, if he's not going to be on ball as a point guard, then he really needs to be able to catch and shoot. And right now he can't. He just doesn't do it. And so that's like, there were times he just like passed up shots and you're just like, just shoot it, man. But he wasn't comfortable doing that. But I mean, the finishing through contact at his age, he's still 19. He was one of the youngest players of his draft class. He did get to the line a lot. I think that's nice to see. He's definitely better than he was last year. He definitely has improved from one summer league to the other. But like, he has a nose for the ball. He's getting like, he comes away from the ball with a scrum, rises up over guys. I still see like a DeAnthony Melton type player in there, which I think is really nice that they now have DeAnthony Melton. So like, I wonder if that becomes, although Melton is only 24, he's not like he's some like, you know, aged vet. But he's just really sturdy, which is you don't see with a player his age, and it does have some finishing creativity. He's a better finisher than Melton is. So I still believe in it. There's no reason not to, you know, they took him as a project. They took him as like this guy is a high level prospect that's going to defend, and he's already like, you know, at 28 or whatever it was that year. I still think he's like capable of being an NBA rotation player, but he does look still a little bit too young and inconsistent offensively. And even if he has that, and he like just becomes a willing catch and shoot guy, which I unfortunately think will take remaking his jumper from that range, then I think there's an NBA player in there, but really needs to be able to shoot. He definitely needs to be able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, you brought up point guard thing. If he's a point guard, he's a billion miles away. You know, like it's just is not even close. The other player I thought that was specifically notable was Isaiah Joe. I have like a really hard time diagnosing, because I thought he played well, but when I was watching him playing well, I just thought to myself, well, I thought he could do this already. So what he's doing at summer league to me, like, doesn't translate to. He didn't come back looking stronger to me. He didn't. No. It's just the skills that I thought he had. He looked like he was using them. So I feel like though he played well, I gained no insight from his play.
Yeah, I mean, he looked more comfortable to me coming off screens as a movement shooter, which this team as of now doesn't have. Korkmaz, you know, he was really bad last year. But as a movement shooter that can catch and shoot, like, he looked good doing it. He's not the kind of, like, if Isaiah Joe started doing like Jalen Green shit with the ball at Summer League and was just like burying everything and getting to the rim and being like, I'm 23 years old now, I'm too good for Summer League, that would be like confusing to me and a little bit like, well, this isn't going to work at the NBA. I mean, it would have been nice to see, but like, you want him doing the shit that he's doing, and he did a pretty good job of it. He finished at the rim a couple times. That was nice. I think he works hard. Like, I think he plays hard in a way that like a lot of guys that are just movement shooters necessarily don't do. Like, he works hard on defense. He fights through screens. He had a couple like big rebounds and loose balls. He's diving for balls. Like, I like seeing that. I think that as a guy that's, you know, on the fringes of this roster, like, that's what you want from him. But it's just, we haven't seen it translate to the NBA yet. And so I think him shooting well and looking good and playing confident and seeming to be a leader, I think he's growing up a little bit. But he's not stronger, to your point. He's not doing like new shit. He's just, we don't need him to do new shit. I think he needs to do the shit he does better and hit shots at an NBA level. The buzzer beater was cool. Or the game winner was cool. He did get fouled on that play. I I would love for this to be real. I would love for this to be the guy he is, and him to come in and be like bench young Wayne Ellington type, where he's just like catch and shoot, can hit from wherever, can shoot from distance. He's got such an easy release. He's got such a, range from like 27 feet out, like off the catch. That's nice. I would like it to be real. And if they do package, whether it's just Matisse and Korkmaz or a couple more guys, and he becomes a necessary player, then there could be a role for him. But right now he's got a lot of guys above him, and the only way to do that is to hit a bunch of shots.
Charles Bassey's a guy that I actually would just think will be better when he is surrounded by better players, because he doesn't do anything spectacular, and I feel like he just has the ability to be solid, which doesn't really show very much when you're playing with a bunch of shitty players in summer league.
Yeah, not uncommon for summer league that a pick and roll big man, like traditional, like protect the rim lob threat big man, would look a little bit like off, because it's just like the guard play at summer league is always not great, just because guys are trying to get for themselves and prove that they deserve to be on a roster and make shit happen. And the easy pass is not necessarily always made. But yeah, a couple nice moments. He's going to protect the rim. He's going to throw down some lobs. He looks big and physical. I think he'll be fine. I prefer B-ball Paul slightly, but I would also understand if Harden looks a lot better, just wanting to have like a more traditional lob threat behind him. I think Bassey's a nice player. I would be interested to see if Doc and Darryl prefer one heavily, then what you could get for the other one to then add to a trade package, and then maybe get a pick back or something, and then get that veteran that they're probably going to sign anyway. I don't know, but I'd be interested to see what their value is in the open market. But I also don't mind. There hasn't been one of these kinds of things, like just like a true tall tournament.
Yeah.
Or who's going to take the backup center minutes and go like, it's going to be one of you guys. So prove that you deserve it.
And then make them play one-on-one for the...
That'd be funny.
And then televise it for the job.
There should be that. One-on-one for the last rotation spot. Absolutely.
Trevelyan Queen's really doing his thing out there.
He's the best. I love him. He didn't play great. He didn't play great, but like NBA player. 100%.
Yeah,
100%.
you sure? He feels like a process player.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. That's, as far as the guy that like he's trying to do a little too much. He's trying to make like tight window passes that his new teammates were not ready for. And the defense was just like scrambling all over the place. But yeah, I mean, he's an NBA level defender, like as far as like making shit happen, steals wise. The shot is good off the catch. I'm such not like an off the dribble shooter like fan. I think there's just, and I think it's almost never necessary in a role player. Yeah. Like I never want
6 man.
Yeah, maybe like if you had Jordan Clarkson, you go like get a bucket, sure. But like I'm never dying. If like Daniel House was working on his like shooting off the dribble, I'd be like, don't ever do that.
Yeah,
I don't want you to do that. Pass the ball. Catch and shoot, or like keep it moving, because like it's just not necessary. I mean, like I'm not saying like it's not an unimportant skill. I just think it's never the best shot you can get, an off the dribble like step back or whatever. If you run pick and roll, like Maxey shooting off the dribble off a pick and roll, that's important. Harden getting to his step back, sure, that's important. But Trevelyan Queen is a really good catch and shoot player, and that's what he should be doing at the NBA. And he's super athletic. His athleticism playing in summer league, like summer league is a lot of things, and I love everything that it is, but it's not an unathletic place. It is filled with young guys that are jumping out of the place, that are scrambling all over the gym to try to prove that they deserve that they're NBA players. And Trevelyan Queen's athleticism still stands out there. And I just believe in him as a player, and I think that he's going to be really good. I think they signed him I think he's going to be better in Vegas. And I think they signed him to a 2-year non-guaranteed, like some partially guaranteed contract, because he's going to make this roster, and waiting for the other shoe to drop of what that trade is going to be. But he deserves to be here, and I big Trevelyan Queen guy, big.
got a amazing email forward from Lee Pavorsky. We want to say congratulations to David and Kaylin, who I don't know what number they are of Rights to Ricky Sanchez listeners who have gone to LL for engagement rings, but I got their engagement photos and they look fantastic. So congratulations to David and Kaylin. I like the photos of the on one knee, like getting engaged pictures. But it's always funny to me when the guy is particularly tall and on one knee looks almost as big as the girl who's just standing up, because it makes the guy look like monstrous. Like in these pictures, it's like David just looks so big, you know? He just looks like he's like a monster. I mean, he looks very handsome. You look handsome, David. It's just like you look so tall. Anyway, LL Pavorsky is the first sponsor of the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. Over 280 Rights to Ricky Sanchez listeners have gone to LL for engagement rings. LL is on vacation right now. Yeah, I know. Maybe they're hiking together. Maybe LL is in the friend group. We haven't seen full pictures the entire time. He is on vacation, I think, to the 11th, or he's back on the 12th or something like that. But if you email him, he will deal with you. He's just not in the store. Been in that store at 707 Walnut for over 30 years. You don't get that way by not being good at customer service. He's the best. There is a reason why so many Ricky listeners have gone to LL for engagement rings. It's not the free chocolate. It's not the free water. It's not his fine suits. It's not how good he smells. It is his fantastic service, attentive one-on-one service. So if you're going to buy an engagement ring, LL is the person that you want to go to. 707 Walnut, as I mentioned. Make an appointment, 215-627-2252. He's not in the store right now, but will answer emails and tweets, I believe. So email is lee@llpavorsky.com. And if it's not an engagement ring you want, if it's something else, that's fine. He'll take care of whatever jewelry you need you have. A supporter of our charities, Coded by Kids, Providence Animal Center, LL Pavorsky Jewelers.
He will join your friend group.
All right. So the rest, I was a little disappointed we didn't get much Grant Riller. I don't know if he is still, does he not getting time because he'll get it in Vegas, or because they already know he's good, or because they're just not that interested? I don't know. Or is he still recovering from injury? Or I wanted to see more of him.
I'm not sure, and I agree. I think it could be any of those things. The Grant Riller versus Cassius Winston, I don't think that Miles Powell is in the mix there. Miles Powell looks a little bit more comfortable than he did with the Sixers, obviously. The shot looks a little better, but I just don't think he's like a caretaker point guard. I don't trust him with the ball in his hands, and he's not a defender. And the shot at NBA range off NBA defenders doesn't look real. So I'm writing off Miles Powell. But Cassius Winston's a really smart player. He's nice. Like, people like playing with him. Like, he'll get guys balls in the right position, all that good stuff. But his athleticism is so lacking. He doesn't have any burst to get off of it. And even though he can get to his little mid-range spots, and you can do like if you squint, you can see like a college Chris Paul, not the way Chris Paul is in college. You can see like now Chris Paul coming out of college and stuff, and like, okay, I guess I see that, but like he's just not quick enough. He doesn't have enough lift against NBA players. I just kind of don't buy it. If you want to just have him as like, hey, he can bring the ball up and make one pass to your guy, to Embiid, then like fine. But I see a lot more in Riller. He has burst off the ball. He can shoot off movement. I think he has a knack for, coming away with the ball and like getting his hands on knocking things away, deflections and stuff. I would really want Grant Riller to get the second two-way. For me, even though but to your point, maybe they don't like him as much or whatever. I think the fact that they brought him back means they do like him, but yeah, I think I would like to see more from him in Vegas for sure.
It was hard for me to get any feel for Foster Jr. I watching, it seems like I didn't really take anything from watching him. Did you see anything liked or didn't like?
I liked him more than I did when they signed him. The tape of him in the G League Ignite team was a little uninspiring to me. This one, it seemed like he was like working hard, and I felt his physicality more. I think his jumper has improved. He had like a really like over like behind his head jumper. I think he's tightened it up a little bit. As like a somewhat versatile role man with like a little, that body at, I think he's 19. It's impressive, and you can imagine like he's produced at every level he's been at, even on the G League night as a young player on the G League night. Like he was still averaging big points and rebounds. So he just like produces, but I don't see anything like special in him necessarily. But I think they have those like exhibit 10 type deals where it's like you're kind of like we're like keeping tabs on you. It's like a hip pocket situation in the film industry parlance, but like I think they might like keep him around a little bit as like, hey, maybe he's something, but like I'm not dying to use a roster spot on him. Maybe if you lose one of Bassie or Paul, then you go put him in the second 2A or something, fine. But as like a prospect that could become something because he's young and he already is producing, maybe there's upside there. But I know Zoe likes him, and I don't want to go against Zoe, but I didn't really see too much.
And I know you had mentioned being excited to see, is it Champagne? Is that how you say it? Julian Champagne?
Yeah.
Champagne. Would see anything you liked or?
Oh, he sucked. He was awful.
Okay, good.
He was like embarrassingly bad. Like to the point where like if you're watching that and you're like, they already gave him a 2A spot? Like that's what? Can they take it back? Like that was horrendous. Like, I mean, I'm not ruling out that there's some injury or endurance thing going on. Maybe he was affected by your Utah Denver situation. But he really, the shot looked bad, defense looked middling. All his points came in like little offensive rebound layups that he came with. It was just like awful. He was really, really, really bad. And he was definitely a better player at St. John's for sure. But like, this was not. I wasn't a Champagne guy coming into the draft, and I just like don't really see it necessarily. But he is a big wing that can ostensibly shoot and defend. Like makes sense, and it's what you should be using your roster 2A spot on. And maybe they go like, hey, there's just a couple of bad games and the point guard play, blah blah blah. But like, not an inspiring start for Champagne. Hopefully, he comes to Vegas and plays a lot better, because that, like, if he plays as bad as he did there, I would be like, we don't have time for this. Like, get his ass out, get on a 2A spot.
Anybody else?
I think Tyler Bay is bad.
Okay.
It's unfortunate because he was drafted just 2 years ago, and was a high producing 2-way energy prospect from Colorado, and he just like, I just don't think there's a role for him in the NBA. I don't see it. Hasn't put on any weight really. Is still just like bouncy nothing. I prefer Justin Smith, honestly. Hopefully they show a little bit more Justin Smith in Vegas. I think he's just an interesting, helpful player that sort of knows where to be more, and is a better rebounder and finisher. Aminu Mohammed was a guy that I wasn't excited about, because he has no clue how to shoot, and he still doesn't. But he really is young and came out as a freshman out of Georgetown and really works his ass off on defense, and is like kind of like a terror, a little like Lou Dort energy, or like what's his name? Used to be a Laker. I'm forgetting his name, but like
who?
I mean, like a fuck. Why I can't think of his name? It's too early.
What other team was he on?
No, like an early, like a bad, like he was like on, he might have been on the Wizards as like a 2-way guy.
I don't know.
You know who I'm talking. Somebody knows what I'm talking about.
Okay. See if someone in the chat says.
But he's a total terror, and he does like interesting finishes around the rim, like as a lefty that can just sort of like physically get there. So I maybe if you really believe in your shooting development, like he definitely is an NBA athlete, and he's definitely an NBA, has the outline of an NBA defender if he can settle in, if you believe in that. But the shot is really, really bad, really bad. So it would take some work there. And I'm excited to see your boy Filip Petrushev play in Vegas.
Not my boy. It's not my boy. Apparently that guy sucks.
I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to see what he can do. See if there's like shooting improvement, if there's like somewhat defensive anchoring, maybe that ends up being, if they move one of B-Ball or Bassi, they move him to a 2-way. We'll see. He hasn't come over yet. They obviously have his rights, but so I'm interested to see that. And then Charlie Brown, I thought Charlie Brown was okay. He didn't play well in the first game, but I thought he played better in his second. Yeah, I mean, the shot it's such a weird shot. He like shoots it on his shoulder. He really really taps his shoulder every time he shoots it. But it seems like it's a little bit better, but not necessarily one I trust at the NBA level.
Well, you're off of him.
And there's also, what do you say?
You're out on him anyway, Charlie Brown Jr.
Well, now that they don't need him, now they have someone that's athletic on the team that can be like, all right, I don't have to fucking go to bat for Charlie Brown Jr. every single podcast. Just like begging someone to just play anyone athletic for the love of God. But yeah, that's, now they're in a better place with that, which is nice.
That's all I got. I feel like we're gonna need mailbags, so I don't want to use the mailbag now. We got post Summer League coming up. I think
we got Summer League. We got Sixers Adam at Summer League. He's out there.
Not legal
Bodner
yet.
was asking me if Sixers Adam is allowed out. I do think Sixers Adam is 20.
Yeah.
So everybody be on the lookout for that. Any law breaking will not be tolerated from
alcohol or gambling or anything he's not allowed to do.
No, but you can be in the casino when you're above 18, but I don't think you can gamble.
No, you definitely can. Not in Las Vegas.
So yeah, I love Summer League, man. It's the best. It couldn't be better. Everybody's relaxed. People showing up. Ben Simmons showed up at Summer League.
I saw. Did you consider going this year?
Gets more. I did consider going. Just didn't work out. But I don't know. Summer League got
it's too big.
It got too big.
Yeah.
Like in 2014, 2015, that era when it was still weird and oddly local, like a local Vegas thing.
Yeah.
It was still cool, and then it just got really, really big. And I'm not to be the music guy that the band got big, whatever.
It makes it less fun when it's that big,
It made it a little bit less fun, but I should go back. It's still, I feel more at home at watching five straight games of bad basketball than any other place.
To me, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was ready to say Ben Simmons. Did you see Ben show up at Summer League or no?
Yeah.
In the bucket hat. I know people think bucket hats are cool now. I know that's a trend, but the more Ben wears them, the more I'm no, they're not.
That guy's a fucking dipshit. He is just. I pity him, honestly.
I just wouldn't show up to Summer. You haven't played in a year. I just wouldn't show up and be peacocking. Wow.
He is so fucking unaware of how crazy what he has done is. He is just somebody. I'm begging. Yeah. There has to be somebody in his camp or near his camp that hears this podcast. I'm talking to you. Tell him. Someone's got to tell him. Someone's got to tell him. It's fucking crazy. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Alyssa gets more every time she sees another Ben Simmons thing. She's really she's becoming radicalized against it. She's really it's locking in. I'm worried to see where it's going to end up at. But yeah, Summer League's the best.
I was going to say that I think the moment Summer League flipped was Lonzo Ball. I remember when LeBron went to see Lonzo and the venues were sold out and you're oh, it was that moment. That was the South by Southwest moment where it didn't become about it became about something bigger than it was about anymore, Yeah,
I was thinking about that when we were just talking about it. I was there for that game. It was pretty wild. But those years, the Lakers games would always become like that because Vegas and LA are so close. And Vegas is an LA city anyway, as far as a Lakers city. But that did feel like another thing. I mean, Wiggins versus Jabari is one of the best moments in the small gym. Any game in the small gym in Cox Pavilion is just the best. It's a high school gym. I mean, it's did you know that the Sixers Summer League coach Tyler Lashbrook used to write for SB Nation?
Oh, really? I did not know that.
He used to write for SB Nation, and LL texted me that he roomed with Jake at Summer League one year. And I'm
so
and that immediately made me be well, this guy shouldn't be coaching Summer League. If anyone that roomed with Jake Pavorsky should not be allowed to coach grown-ups.
Wow.
Arguably.
So anyone even associated with Jake is also a child.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. We're going to do the pod during the Summer League game on Wednesday, right? That's this week, I think. Yeah. So I believe it is. So we will talk.
The game's at 6 p.m. my time.
Yep.
Yeah. We might have to start a little late if I get him from work, but we'll
we'll
figure it out. Summer League. It's loose, baby.
Yeah, it's loose. All right. We will talk to you then. Are you done with TTP?
Yeah. You know, like face.